I don't scale the heights. I don't plumb the depths. I keep pretty even. What life throws at me, I can take.
Best experience, okay. Meeting my friends. Like, honestly, when I started secondary school, I was such a lame 11-year-old, and I had maybe 2 friends, and I don't know, we just kind of never really did anything. And then one day I was like, no, come on, we're gonna go make friends. We're gonna go and make friends with all these other people. And I did. And I met like the nicest people. And just I don't know, I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today, and like wouldn't have made it through my A-levels and been the person I am if I hadn't met all these people.
So far in my 54 years, I guess the worst thing would be the breakup of my first marriage, which came as a complete shock to me. Bit of background, I was married at 22, nearly 23, and this happened just after my 30th birthday, when my then wife said completely out of the blue that she didn't want me around anymore. And even to the point when she wasn't sure whether she'd ever love me, but I think perhaps she was hurt at the time. So yeah, suddenly out of the blue finding out that I wasn't wanted or needed probably came as probably one of the worst things I've ever done. Thinking I was a nice husband, a good husband, but clearly, obviously, 2 sides to every story. I was working very hard, spending lots of time at work, so it's not just her decided she didn't want me around. I guess it was just me, perhaps not being around at the time. I don't know really.
I think probably I wasn't particularly sad, but the most devastating thing that happened to me was when my husband died, when we were on holiday in Lanzarote. We were abroad at the time and he died. That, I can't say I was sad. I mean, I was shocked, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the saddest thing I ever had was, again, coming back to Joe. And I had Joe for 16 years. And he was my mate.
Yeah.
Friend, pal, confidant. And when he died, he was 16. Even talking about it now moves me. And he was lying on the settee, and I was on the floor, and I was like this with him. And my daughter-in-law, she knew what was going to happen, so she came about half an hour later. And we took him to the vet, back to John Head's, and had him cremated. And when we had his ashes back, and Sam Nichols, the Nichols family, Gillian, their dad, Sam, he and I were great mates, and we'd walk the dogs and meet other dog walkers. And when I said I was going to throw Joe's ashes on the hill, we all met. We had about four or five dogs and 6 adults, and we went up the hill, and I threw the ashes in the wind, and the wind carried them. And I said, "Run with the wind, Joe." And as I shouted that, the dogs all barked and the humans all cheered. So, I mean, I'm laughing now, but it was a very poignant time.
Yeah.
That was a sad time.
The best experience, I suppose, would be the birth of my first child, my son, 32 years ago. I think that probably comes as a complete shock in some ways. You spend 9 months waiting for a baby to come along, and then you get rushed off to the hospital because things suddenly start to happen, and then within a few hours you're suddenly in charge of this little bundle of joy, really. And it's, as much as you can prepare yourself, I don't think you can. Suddenly this little thing is completely reliant upon you. Yeah, probably the best thing would be having my first child.
The worst experience would be my A-level results in the first year. And I was so enthusiastic in the morning. I was like, yeah, go on, I've done really well. Like, kind of talked myself into the fact I'd definitely done quite well. And I had a look from my laptop, got my results up, and I'd failed maths and physics. And I just cried. Like, I'm not an overly emotional person, but just cried for like a good solid hour. And had to call my mum and my dad and tell them that like I'd failed, and I don't know, even though everyone's like, it doesn't matter, like it's only the first year, you can retake, it doesn't matter, still part of me was like, no, I've just completely like screwed up my future, like I'm never gonna be able to do them, like never gonna do any better in them. But yeah, lots of tears, lots of crying.
Oh yes, well, when I was brought up on the suburbs of Coventry, and there was a row of shops in these suburbs, and there was no supermarkets about then. And of course my mum used to do, there was every shop to suit every need, and mum used to shop along there, and of course from a little girl I went along with her. And as I grew up, I still went and did a bit of shopping along there. And to get to the church where I was married, I had to go along by this shop. And they all knew I was getting married. And all the shopkeepers and the workers all came out and waved to me as we went by. And yes, and then when Brian and I were married and we went back that way, they all came out again and waved to us when we went to our reception. But it was a lovely day, a very happy day.
Yeah.
You're not doing this, are you? Are you taking this on board? Oh,